Justine Triet,
Kate Blanchett,
the acclaimed French director of 2023, Anatomy of a Fall. Do you think she did it? Do you think Sandra did it? A film that I liked but didn't love, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Justine Triet recently was interviewed by Letterboxd, like everyone, revealed our top 4 favorite movie. And like any good movie fan, when someone tells you their favorite film, you judge them. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna watch every film, her 4 favorite movie. We're gonna watch them, we're gonna rate them, and then we're gonna grade Justine Triet taste in movie. Let's go.
Opening Night.
Never heard of it. Boston Strangler, never heard of it.
Richard Fleischer, maybe Magnolia.
Magnolia, okay, I've seen that.
Anderson and Toni Erdmann by Marina 2.
All right, so we have 4 movie here. Opening Night, 1977. It is 2 hours and 20 minutes long. The Boston Strangler. I actually watched the terrible remake. It just kind of looked like a TV movie that they apply like a sepia filter. It's not good. So hopefully this one is better. 1968. It is 2 hours long. Okay, so long movies. Magnolia, which I know is long. I've seen this when I was maybe 16, which is like 16 years ago. And then the last one is Toni Erdmann. Never heard of this. 2 hour 40 minutes. Okay, so we have a theme here. Very long film. Let's start with the first film she mentioned, which is Opening Night 1977. Let's go. All right, we just watched Opening Night. So the film followed Myrtle Gordon, who's an actress playing in a play that is about to premiere on Broadway, and they're doing kind of rehearsal. She plays this older woman who has to come to a realization that she is now the older woman or the other woman within her. And one thing that I really liked about this, first of all, there's a lot of things that move from the theme of the play to the theme of the story of Myrtle. There's a lot of things that comes together. So there's kind of this line between reality and the play start to kind of fade. Something that was really smart. Anytime something's happening in the play, so often we see pieces of the play being played out in front of an audience, but they actually put real people, real audience watching the play for real without knowing what's going to happen, and recorded the film, which is filming a play. So you are blurring the line between reality and the story of the play, but also between the film itself and real life. I think that's just really interesting. Right away at the beginning, Myrtle, the actress, is trying to go back into a old relationship, or at least rely and go back to men that she's been with before. One of them says to her, "I don't see you as a woman anymore. I see you as a professional." You see her now as a co-worker, and it's a line that they crossed and cannot go back on. And there's also the producer or director of the play is trying to get her to kind of like agree to the character that she has to play. Myrtle has a lot of difficulty playing the character. She feels like the character has no depth, and she's only the older woman. And at some point, the director is like, "You're not the woman. You are the actress." Again, it's reinforcing this theme of losing her womanhood. She's becoming that other woman. I think it is a fantastic film. I give it a 4 stars. I would almost want to call it like a spiritual thriller. It's very nerve-wracking to watch Opening Night. I think it's a great top 4 choices. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. So the next one we're going to check out is The Boston Strangler. All right. The Boston Strangler, 1968. Richard Fleischer is actually based on a true story about a serial killer. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that in 1968, they were already doing a film about something that happened a few years ago. The craziest thing about this one is the choices that were made in terms of the cinematography and the direction. Often you will see multiple point of view at once. For example, the point of view, or you will follow someone going home, and then you will have the point of view of the body or a victim awaiting to be discovered, right? Someone that has already been murdered. What's interesting, it creates this tension. And often you even are put in the point of view of the killer, and at the same time, you have a split screen where you see the victim. In the first half of the film, you follow the detective looking for people, the interrogation, the strategy about finding them. About midpoint is the film, you fully switch and start following the actual killer. You know, from the narrative structure to the cinematography to the editing choices, the theme are consistent. They are, you know, baked in. I totally understand why a director would love this film. It's all about the approach to the story. And I think for a director to see something so creative in the 1960s is like very impressive. And on top of that, to be so bold in your approach, I can totally see why someone like Justine Triet would be attracted and love one of those films. I do appreciate the technical aspect. I think the film is a bit long, especially the second half, I think, for me. And I think that one thing is that the performance of the actor that does play the killer, it's not cartoony, but it's definitely more theatrical. Yeah, just that performance, you know, just a bit more reserved. I do think that that's the one thing that would have put a 3.5 into a 4. Solid choice. Let's go into the next one. All right, Magnolia. Paul Thomas Anderson, 1999. Only film in this list that I had watched before. I was very young though. When this was recommended to me, it was all about like, oh yeah, the frog, right? The frog thing was like, okay, the frog thing, the movie with the frog thing. That used to be like that's interesting. And watching this now, like, it's like the least, I mean, it's an important part of the film for the theme. It's though like almost the least interesting part. All those characters with distress, with things they want to either find redemption for, they want to find some kind of resolution for. There's this circle of, you have younger characters that are going through things that older character had been through it. And you can see this circle that none of this will be resolved. When you look at the film, I believe that most of the characters end up worse than where they began. So I think that this play obviously on kind of what we expect from a film. Some of those characters will be able to find a resolution or will be able to redeem themselves. Nobody really get their way. I think it's my favorite so far. I really love Opening Night, but I think Magnolia is probably my favorite. It's definitely like my type of film. For me, Julianne Moore, the pharmacy scene is the one that really got to me. And you can see that all those characters are kind of going through the motion, trying to just get to the next day, telling themselves the story they need to tell themselves to get there. Always feel like you're so close to getting like finally something that it's like, like those characters, this you know, situation got resolved, and it just doesn't give it to you. I'm gonna give it I think a 4.5. So now let's check the last one. Toni Erdmann. All right. So the last film we watched, Toni Erdmann, 2016, with Sandra Hüller. For sure my least favorite of the 4. So this is about a daughter and dad relationship. Sandra Hüller is like obsessed with work. She's always working, and her dad is kind of this optimistic, always trying to find a way to make people laugh and smile and making jokes. Shows up unannounced and decide to spend time with her. That's kind of like the premise. The best thing about this film is the performances. I felt like the movie was stumbling into itself a little bit. First of all, I don't think this film needs to be, you know, almost 3 hours. At some point, about an hour 20 in, you can feel like this is getting a bit repetitive. Sandra Hüller is, you know, doing something for work, and then our dad shows up, make the situation difficult or embarrassing or uncomfortable, and then we move to the next scene and it's kind of like that again, and then it's that again. It's a Austrian Romanian film, and the sense of humor like is very dry. You know, like chuckled a couple times, but I was expecting it to be a lot funnier. I feel like some of the best scenes are in the very much like the beginning or at the end. Just watching Justine Triet like saying that this is one of her favorite, I wonder if this is how perhaps she discovered Sandra Hüller, and maybe this is a film she says was one of her favorite because it's, you know, one of her favorite from recent time that helped her find an actress that, you know, she brought on board for a film that is now our biggest film and that was, you know, very much acclaimed. And I wonder if it's more like a throwaway, here's a film that I like, wink wink, you know, Sandra Hüller's in there. I gave this one a 3 out of 5. I still think it's okay, it's good. So going kind of now looking back at all those films, I think for me the best one is Magnolia, Opening Night, Boston Strangler, and then Toni Erdmann. Looking kind of at those 4 films as a whole, I like our top 4. It's a pretty solid top 4. I think I'm gonna go with a B plus on like grading the top 4. I think it's solid. I do wish there was maybe like a curveball in there. Pretty consistent in like the type of film we're doing here. Toni Erdmann could be seen as the curveball. Good top 4. And if you haven't seen any of those films, I would recommend Opening Night and Magnolia. Good job, B plus. And I'm gonna do another one of those very soon. Let me know which one we should watch and grade, because what else are we gonna do? When people tell you their favorite film, you judge them, and you are welcome to judge me based on my favorite film, which you can find on Letterboxd. Follow me. Tell me that my top 4 sucks. I'm outie.